Our movie opens by showing us the life cycle of cuckoo birds, a species of bird where the mother lays her egg in another bird's nest, and the cuckoo eggs hatch faster and they also grow faster. And we see the hatched cuckoos killing off the child of the host bird and feeding off of the host's nest to grow. And that pretty much sets the tone for our movie, and we are introduced to Gemma, who is a primary school teacher, and after class she meets up with her boyfriend Tom. And today they're actually planning to look for a house because they want to move in together into this bigger house and actually start a family. And so they go to a real estate office and they get greeted by a strange looking man called Martin. And this man tells them about this housing project, Yonder, which is a real estate project in the suburbs, and he actually offers to show them around the houses. And they agree to this and they follow him in their car. And when they get to this place, they see that all the houses are exactly similar. And Martin takes them to house number 9 and he tells them that this house is actually ideal to live in. And he starts showing them the rooms, and they get to the children's room and Martin asks if they have any children. And Gemma responds, not yet. And then Martin mimics Gemma's voice perfectly and he creeps them out. And then he takes them out to the garden and he leaves them there to discuss. And Tom and Gemma don't seem to mind this house at all. And they also don't mind the fact that it looks similar to all the other houses around. And Tom tells Gemma that he thinks that this house has good space, and if she wants to, they can just move in. And Gemma looks around the garden and she asks Martin if other people will be moving into the neighborhood soon. But Martin was nowhere to be found. And when they go inside the house and look for him, he wasn't there either. And when they go outside, they realize that he and his car have just vanished. They get pretty confused because they didn't even see him leave, and they just get inside their car and prepare to leave themselves. And when they were driving their car the same way they came in, they find that it's actually longer than they remember. And they kept driving around to exit the compound, but they kept finding themselves around house number 9. It's like whatever direction they take, they loop around to that same house. And they kept doing this until they ran out of gas. So once they figure out that they don't have any gas and they don't have anywhere to go, they just get out of their car and they get inside the house. And they find some wine and strawberries left in the fridge, but when they try to eat anything, they find that everything in the house is tasteless and odorless. And after figuring this out, they start to plan to go on foot tomorrow, and they sleep the night at the house. And in the morning, Tom comes up with this plan to follow the sun. And they start walking all day, but at the end of the day, they just found themselves at the same house again. And when they get out of the house, they find a box containing food and other supplies. And Tom burns down the house just to send a smoke signal to whoever can see it beyond the compound. And for that night, they end up sleeping on the pavement outside. But when they wake up in the morning, something incredibly bizarre happens, and the house has been fully fixed, and it's as if nothing burned down. And they also see this other box in front of them, and when Gemma opens it, she finds an infant boy inside the box. It's a baby. And there's also a note that reads, "Raise the child and get released." And Gemma takes the infant out of the box, and she tells Tom that it's a baby boy. And after about 98 days, and yes, they don't find a way out even after 3 months, the boy has apparently grown to be 10 years. And he comes into Gemma's and Tom's bedroom and he starts mimicking them. And here we see that this boy is not actually a normal boy, it's some kind of alien humanoid. And we see their routine now. They go to the kitchen, the boy starts screaming really loudly, Gemma gives him some food and the boy stops screaming, and Gemma and Tom go outside and wait for a person that delivers the boxes. And they plan to catch them and force them to let them out of this weird place. And the boy keeps staring at them, and Gemma goes inside the house to get some coffee for Tom, and Tom throws his cigarette at him, and when it touches the ground, the grass around it just disappears. And Tom sees this and he starts digging the floor with a pickaxe. And after he kept digging, he found this muck mixed with dirt. And Gemma comes and starts helping him, but she gives up after a little while. And Tom just kept digging and digging into the night. And later, as they were in their bedroom, the boy just kept staring at them as they were doing it. And the next morning, Tom goes back to the hole to keep digging, because at this point, why not? You literally have nothing to do. And after breakfast, we see the boy watching TV. But it's not actual TV, it's not SpongeBob, it's not anything that we know. It's this weird hypnotic lines and fractal patterns. And at night, Gemma finds Tom sitting in their car, and he tells her that he loves coming here because the car actually has a neutral smell. And Tom opens the car radio, and music starts playing, and Gemma goes outside and she starts dancing to the music. and Tom also joins her because the small things really matter at this point, because if you're not having fun with something, you're bound to lose your mind. And as they were dancing, the boy sees them dance and he also joins them and he starts to dance. And he accidentally trips over Tom and he falls to the ground. And Tom stands up and he pushes the boy to the ground, and then Tom leaves to the house angry. But the boy didn't really feel anything. He just stands up and he continues to dance on his own. Gemma takes the boy to the bedroom and the boy starts to mimic her and Tom again. And she leaves after getting really creeped out by this boy. And the next morning, this boy comes to Gemma in Tom's bedroom and he starts screaming. They give him some breakfast and he stops. And Tom is back to digging his hole again because there's literally nothing else to do. And another day passes and the boy is still screaming in the morning. Gemma rushes to give the boy his food and Tom gets angry and he takes the boy's food and he throws it into the wall, and the boy starts screaming again. And Tom grabs the boy, he puts him inside the car and he locks him in. And Gemma tries to stop him, but he pushes her inside the house and he tells her that she has to stop acting like this thing's mother. And he also tells her that they will leave it inside the car and they'll make this boy just starve. And whoever left him here, if they want him to be fed, they'll just have to come around and save him. And when these people come, then they can manage to escape. And Gemma takes the keys from Tom and she runs out to take the boy out of the car. And Tom just gets back in his hole and he keeps digging. And Gemma takes the boy to his room and she sleeps next to him. And this time, Tom falls asleep inside his hole. And the hole is getting pretty big at this point. And Gemma is convinced that she can solve this mystery through the boy. So she takes him to this picnic and they start to look up at the clouds. And all the clouds are so weird because they're all the same shape and sizes. And the boy asks her if she loves clouds, and Gemma tells him that where she comes from, clouds have different shapes. Some of them look like faces, some of them might look like dogs, and then the boy starts barking like a dog, and Gemma joins him, and they start howling like dogs. And in the morning, Tom is still digging the hole, and Gemma couldn't find the boy, and she asks Tom if he's seen him, and he tells her he has no clue, and she leaves to look for the boy, and later that day, she finds the boy back at the garden, and the boy has apparently brought back a book with him, and the boy gives her the book, and when she looks inside, she finds drawings of humanoids with throat sacks. And the book also contains other symbols and drawings that look exactly like what the boy watches on TV. And Gemma asks the boy where he was and who gave him this book, and the boy tells her that he's not allowed to tell her. And then she proposes a game. She asks the boy if he can mimic her, and the boy does that, and she asks the boy to mimic the person that gave him the book. And the boy starts screaming like a bird and inflates his own throat sacs. And Gemma is freaked out by this. She starts to crawl back, and the boy asks, "Are you overwhelmed, mother?" And she tells him, "I am not your mother!" I mean, she says it differently, but yeah, she says that. And now, at this point, it's been around 230 days, and the boy has grown to be a young adult, maybe in his 20s, and now he resembles a young Martin. Martin meaning the same guy that showed them the house and just disappeared. And Tom has been feeling sick from staying in the hole digging all day, and Gemma brings him breakfast and she tells him that she regrets not letting the boy starve when they had a chance. And Tom tries to comfort her and tells her that she's a good person. And when the boy, or should we call him the man, leaves, Gemma starts to follow him. But this man disappears on her and she finds herself at home. And Tom is back to digging the hole and he finds a dead person in a body bag. And he quickly climbs out and he goes to find Gemma. And at this point, it could be some kind of lung disease, I don't know what it is, but Tom is very sick and he doesn't have a lot of energy. And Gemma tries to take him inside the house, but the boy has locked the door and he won't let them in. And because of this, they decide to sleep in the car. And in the morning, Tom has even gotten worse, and Gemma begs the boy to help her, but he tells her that maybe it's time for Tom to get released, and he leaves off to wherever he goes. And Gemma hugs Tom, and they start to reminisce about the day that they met, and Tom was really nervous the first time he saw her. He couldn't talk to her. She invited him over. They had a few drinks. They got really hungover, and they woke up on her couch. And in his final words, Tom tells Gemma that she makes him feel at home. And he finally dies. from whatever kind of disease he contracted while digging that hole. And the boy comes back with a box and he takes a body bag out from it and he puts Tom's dead body in it, and get this, he throws Tom's body in the same hole that Tom dug. Ironic, eh? And sometime later, Gemma hides in her car and she waits for the boy to get out. And she sneaks up behind him and she hits him over the head with a pickaxe. And the boy starts hissing at her and he crawls into the ground and she follows him. And they start going through multiple doors and she sees this woman crying while the boy was watching people having intercourse, and they get sucked into another room. It was just so weird. I felt like I was having an LSD trip. And in this weird place, we see a lot of things. Like all the people that came before Gemma and Tom, and some of them actually offed themselves. And after this weird trip, she's finally thrown back into her house and she feels very weak and she falls to the ground. And the boy cleans the house and he puts Gemma in a body bag. And before he did that, the boy actually tells her that she's a mother and that she actually prepared her son for the world. And when she asks him what a mother does after she prepares her son for the world, he tells her that a mother dies after raising her son. And he tells her to go to sleep and to have a nice dream, and he closes the bag on her. And she tells him again, "I am not your mother." And he just seems indifferent to that comment, and he just closes the bag and he throws her in the same hole with Tom. And then he refills the hole and he drives back to the real estate office and he finds an aged Martin dying on his chair. And it's like this guy's paralyzed and couldn't move. And then Martin gives him his name tag and just dies. And the boy just puts Martin in a bag and he stores him in a drawer. It's like he can just fold him up like he's nothing. And on the last scene, a couple walk in to buy a house and the man just greets them as Martin greeted Gemma and Tom. Yeah, that's pretty much how it ends. It's a pretty creepy movie. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my recap. I really enjoyed watching this one for you guys. And remember to leave a like, leave a comment, and try to include what you think the movie's about in your comment. Yeah, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.